You've been there, right? I mean, we've all been there. That moment when you're in the middle of talking and then nothing. The words just disappear. Well, today we're going to dig into what's really happening inside your brain when it decides to go completely blank.
Seriously, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You're making a point, you're telling a great story, and poof. It's like someone just flipped a switch off in your head. The connection between what you're thinking and what you're saying it just severs. It's this bizarre, universal human thing, and we're going to unpack it.
So let's talk about that sudden blank moment, because it's way more than just forgetting a word or two. It feels like a complete and total shutdown of your ability to speak.
And this right here captures that feeling perfectly. Your mind isn't empty, not at all. It actually feels like it's spinning its wheels. It's super busy, but absolutely nothing useful is coming out. The words you need feel like they're just physically out of reach. Every sentence feels heavier than the last. And that silence, oh man, it just gets louder and louder, doesn't it?
And here's the part that trips so many of us up. We think this kind of mental block is just for big, scary moments. You know, classic stage fright. But a lot of the time, you're not even nervous. It just happens, out of the blue. And you're left standing there thinking, what was that? Why did that just happen?
And this is the absolute key to understanding it. The real culprit here is pressure. And pressure is sneaky. It doesn't need all the drama of fear to do its work. Pressure can be as simple as knowing you're being watched, or that you're being evaluated, or even just really, really wanting to make a good impression.
Okay, so let's look at the stories we usually tell ourselves in that moment, because our go-to explanations, they're usually not the whole picture, not even close. These are the usual suspects, aren't they? We immediately jump to these big emotional conclusions. We tell ourselves it was a failure of nerve, or a sudden anxiety spike, or that our confidence just decided to take a vacation. And sure, those feelings can be floating around, but they aren't the root cause of this very specific, very sudden shutdown.
And deep down, it often doesn't feel right. You might think, I didn't feel scared. I just couldn't speak the way I normally do. And that right there, that's the clue. It points to something else happening under the hood, a cognitive shift that's way faster and more automatic than a full-blown emotional meltdown.
So, if it's not just panic, what is actually going on inside your head when you hit that wall?
Here it is. It is a protective brain response. Now, this is so important. It's not an emotional breakdown. It's a functional shift. Think of your brain like a computer with a limited amount of RAM. When it detects pressure, it doesn't crash. Instead, it just starts reallocating its processing power. It's a practical move, not a personal failure.
And this is the reframe we need to make. On the one hand, you have our common belief. We think it's emotional weakness. But the cognitive reality? It's just cognitive overload. We think we're losing confidence, when really our brain is just reallocating resources. We call it anxiety or panic, but what it's really doing is a very primitive, strategic move towards risk reduction.
So here's how it plays out step by step. First, your brain senses pressure. Step 2, it immediately starts pulling processing power away from the part that handles expressive language. Step 3, it redirects all that juice to an internal editor, a part of your brain that's constantly checking for mistakes. And the result? Your brain makes a choice for you. It chooses safety over expressiveness.
And this is where it gets really nasty. It creates this powerful feedback loop that is so hard to break. You notice you're stumbling over a word. That instantly kicks your self-monitoring into overdrive, which then steals even more resources from your language centers, which, you guessed it, makes your fluency drop even more. It's a classic vicious cycle, all happening in milliseconds.
So, how in the world do you break that loop? Well, it all starts with a simple, but really profound, reframe of what's actually going on.
Let that one really sink in for a second. Your brain isn't trying to sabotage you. It's not your enemy in that moment. It's actually running a very old, very hardwired program that's designed to protect you from social harm by preventing you from saying something wrong.
You have to remember, this is an evolutionary feature, not some weird bug in your system. For our ancestors, making a social mistake could have really serious consequences, so our brains developed this super cautious mechanism that just slams on the brakes whenever it detects social risk. The only problem is, it works a little too well in our modern world of Zoom meetings and cocktail parties.
And why does knowing all this matter so much? Because when you understand that this is just a predictable, mechanical process and not some deep personal failing, you can stop beating yourself up about it. You stop fighting the silence so hard. By depersonalizing it, you actually lower the pressure, which helps break that vicious loop and allows for your fluency to come back online much, much faster.
So, the next time it happens, and it will, the next time you feel your words start to slip away, instead of panicking, I want you to try something different. Just get curious. Ask yourself, interesting. Is my brain shifting into safety mode right now? Am I over-monitoring myself? Just noticing the process without judgment is the first and biggest step to navigating it. Now that you know what to look for, what do you think you'll see?